Hey guys, I made it to Hong Kong and I think I have finally managed to recover from my major jet lag. So I am back with another video for you guys, and today I wanted to share a client success story, someone who has very graciously allowed me to share it with you guys. And this was an individual who was having a really difficult time dealing with her thoughts and her emotions, as so many people do when they are trying to recreate their reality when they are manifesting. And she in particular, I think, had an even harder time because she had a really bad habit of looking at her former SPs who she wanted to get back together again, looking at his social media because he had started seeing somebody else, and she was letting that really get to her. So she was constantly checking to see if there was new photos of them together. What are they doing? What's happening? Are they still together? Is it really serious? All of this stuff. So we had a good long talk about that, and about how, as we've discussed on this channel before, your senses are not reporting reality to you one little bit. What they're doing is your senses are picking up and going into your brain, your mind, and it's just putting them in the usual boxes of what you assume, what you believe, right? So, and she of course was assuming the worst and all of this stuff. So your senses are just gonna tell you what you're assuming, and it's really interesting, of course, because all this information is online. So anyone who goes in and researches it will find out that even 3D understands that our senses do not tell us the truth of reality one little bit. And this happens because your senses will only allow you to see and experience what you are accepting is true. So if you're not actually accepting and believing that something is true for you, then even though that reality will be right in front of you, your senses are not going to show it to you. Your senses are literally going to edit it out. Because why? It doesn't fit your version of reality. So that's why it needs to fit your belief system, your assumptions, your version of reality. And even then, our senses are really the last place where anything is going to show up. So that's why we don't want to keep judging things by what's happening out there. It's just a reflection of what's happening in here. So if it's not showing up out there, it's because it's not in here yet, right? So this is why we're coming in to the world of reality creation. We're understanding that we got to go beyond our 3D senses. We cannot rely on them because they're only made to show you who you're being. They're a reflection that's showing you what you're doing right now. So manifestation, reality creation is about understanding that we have to go beyond our limited 3D senses and what they're telling us, because they can only tell us about really who we've been, not who we're choosing to be right now. So we don't want to let them dictate our lives to us, because that's what everybody does. They're like letting the 3D, the reflection that's being picked up by the senses, just completely rule their lives. And we don't want them to do that any longer, right? So we don't want our senses to decide what our life is going to be like. So she went ahead and she kind of went over all these things, and she took a bit of time to really begin to understand how her actions and her assumptions were literally creating the reality that she was seeing, because she went in and not only, took on what I was saying, but did the research herself. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty darn undeniable. So, and after a while of doing that, she began to kind of take it all on board, and she started to feel a lot better about everything. And then I think it was about 3 weeks later, we had another conversation together, and she said that she wasn't feeling nearly so upset and hopeless about the whole thing anymore, but that she still felt like nothing was really changing out there. And she's like, I know I'm not supposed to wait for it. I know I'm not supposed to look for it, but like, when is it gonna happen, right? Like, what's going on? Like, am I missing something else here? So we talked and I questioned her further and found out that she was actually really involved in trying to fix her human character. And I think this is really a big thing for most people. We're so sure that we have to do something. We are absolutely convinced because that's how our 3D works. If we don't get in there and get involved, it's not going to happen. But this doesn't work that way. So, she particularly thought that she had to continually go in there and stop and control all of her thoughts, trying to never get upset or think anything negative and all this stuff. But, you can't stop thoughts. You're never going to be able to stop thoughts. But luckily, you don't need to. Because what we're doing is we're not controlling and fixing our current 3D character. We're not trying to change and, make it over and fix it. You're stepping back and understanding that you were never really that character to begin with. And therefore, that means you can play anybody because you are the energy that inhabits all things. You are the life force energy that inhabits everything, which is why you can be anything. So instead of trying to stop and control and fix our thoughts, just recognizing that the thoughts are just coming from the character that we've been playing and it's not who we really are. So therefore, there's no reason to solely identify as just that character because you understand that it's just a part you've been playing and it is most certainly not the real you, right? Because it wasn't you before you came here. And it's not going to be you when you leave, when you drop this identity altogether. And then you're going to know for sure, oh, that was just a character. That was never me. It's like literally like an old coat falling off. It just doesn't mean anything anymore. But we're not going to wait till then, are we? We're not going to wait till then. That's what this kind of thing is about, is that we're not waiting to realize what's going on here and who we really are. We're choosing to know this right now. So when you recognize and identify with who you really are, then why would you need to worry about and control what your character thinks and believes? Why would you need to get in there and start trying to fix that character, trying to manhandle it, when all you really want to do is just recognize, oh, that was never really me to begin with. Now, when you're creating something, and when you're doing your reality creation, as you know, I don't really like the word manifestation, right? Because it's just something we do. It's just who we are, right? We're constantly doing things. We're constantly creating, right? So now when you're doing something, you have a desire and you have a certain belief that's getting between you and what your desire is, that's saying that you don't have what you want. Nope, you don't have it. That's contradicting your desire. Then go ahead and certainly correct it when it comes up. Be like, no. It's just another opportunity for you to reaffirm. Yep, that's exactly who it's because it's gonna keep asking you. You sure that's who you are? Yeah, I'm sure that's who I am. So we don't need to get in there with all the old beliefs and start digging them all up. We don't need to get in there and start trying to control all of our thoughts. We're going in all of this. We're going beyond it. Beyond all the thoughts, beyond all the feelings, beyond all the beliefs of that character, and straight to the truth of who you really are. And this is what people and what scripture calls the I am. The I am, beep, 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 what? Anything, everything, whatever you want to fill in the blank with. So my client finally began to kind of put all this together and understand it, and she stopped all of her affirmations or processes and techniques, because they'd really been stressing her out. You don't have to, but if you're stressing you out and you're not really enjoying them, then why are you doing them, right? So she stopped it all and she began to finally kind of relax, and understand that she is being supported here. This is what this whole thing is about. So as long as she was just continuing to identify as a person who was already in a loving relationship with her SP, then she could let the rest of it go. Know that it's being taken care of and live with that in her world. Stop worrying about the reflection. Why would you look there? Because it's not going to come from there. So when she was finally feeling better about the whole thing, she decided that she'd go ahead and go on a vacation that she's been wanting to do for a long time and finally kind of relax and let it all go. And she'd always liked tropical locations, she said, so she decided to go to some resort on a Caribbean island. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but it was, you know, in a different country than she had been living in, and she'd never been there before. It was like her first time. And guess who was there? At the exact same resort as her. It was her SP. And I'm telling you guys, you can't make this stuff up. Neither of them had ever been there before, right? So of course they were totally shocked and surprised to see each other, and they started talking right away. And she ended up finding out that the relationship that he had been in, that she was originally so worried about and destroying herself over and thinking it was a full-blown relationship and they'd never be together again, had actually, of course, now that she'd let it go, only been a temporary thing, and that it had been over for quite a while. And not only that, but he'd been wanting to contact her, and he said he'd began to like dial her number a number of times, but he had been worried about it himself, thinking that since he was the one who had initially broken up with her, that she wouldn't want to hear from him, or she'd be mad at him, and maybe she'd yell at him and all this stuff. So things were very, very different than what she had originally thought. But of course they were, because she wasn't that person anymore, because she had stepped into the identity of the person who was already in a wonderful, ideal relationship with her SP, and she stayed there. And she didn't keep looking out there at a social media or waiting for it. You know, is it there yet? Is it there yet? It's like looking in the oven. You're going to ruin the cake if you keep opening up the oven, right? It's like, just be okay with it. But, you know, just as importantly, not only did she accept that they were in that loving relationship together already, but she finally relaxed about the whole situation and let go of trying to control herself, trying to control everything, trying to control the character. She went past everything and right to the truth of who she is, which is everything. That life essence, that creative consciousness that has made everything, that inhabits everything. That's our true identity. And that's why we can go from one character in this entire play to being anybody else we want to be. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed that. And if you have any questions about it, or issues that you've been having yourself with relationships or other things, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much for being with me here in Hong Kong, my new digs for the while. I'll be here for, I don't know, it's kind of a, oh, you know, I'm just going with the flow. So things will be coming, things will be changing. And I'm really excited to share them all with you guys too. So thank you once again for being here. And I, as always, look forward to seeing you here next time on Rebuild Reality.